Hey, welcome to another episode. I'm Brian Roisendu, your host, and today we have a very interesting conversation with Gen Furukawa. He's the co-founder of Prehook, a leading quiz platform for Shopify merchants. Gen has been in commerce for 10 plus years. That's a lot. With the last 7 years in e-commerce SaaS. Prior to Prehook, Gen was a part of the founding team and VP of marketing at Jungle Scout, the leading software for Amazon sellers, as probably most of you guys listening know. Before talking to him, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. I mean, we get it. Customer acquisition costs are going up. There's lack of tracking. Attribution is driving you nuts. Probably right. You're tired of talking about attribution. And the audience sizes are getting smaller and smaller after the iOS 14, 14.5, and so on updates, right? If that wasn't enough, there are other factors such as the recession and supply chain issues making it harder than ever to grow your e-commerce brand, right? That's why now more than ever, we need to understand that it's really important to level up the marketing and design a solid strategy, as what used to work doesn't anymore. At BSR Digital, we have been helping countless e-commerce brands that wanted to scale their business to the next level through paid ads and email marketing for over a decade. So we are confident that we can help. To learn more, you can visit us at bsrdigital.com, or you can email us at hello@bsrdigital.com. Now, as I promised, I have Gen here with me. Hey, man, thanks for being on the show. Sorry.
Brian, thanks so much for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So I know you have a very, very interesting background. So please go for it. Why don't you tell the audience more about it?
Yeah, sure. So, as you mentioned, right now I'm a co-founder of Prehook, which is a quiz platform for Shopify merchants. And then before that was Jungle Scout. So I did join Jungle Scout. It's probably a good place to start in 2015, fall of 2015. And it was at that point just a Chrome extension, and started launching towards a software as a service, which was kind of like a web app. And I mentioned that because it was a really exciting time. I was part of the founding team, took the marketing from Greg Mercer, who's the founder CEO, and I was working with three other developers, two of whom are my co-founders today, Az and Diedrich. So that was a really great opportunity to get to know people, get to work together on a project in e-commerce SaaS, and then kind of like build that trust and initial foundation of, hey, one day we can start doing something together. That day came in 2020. We were each kind of like on our own separate paths, wanted to build something in the e-commerce space, shifted away from Amazon to Shopify. And the reason being, Shopify is a different beast in terms of what the marketing strategies are and how sellers have to go about selling it. Amazon is very focused on a specific search query or understanding what somebody's looking for, and then building a listing around that, so you understand what the benefits they're looking for, the challenges, the problems that they're having, and their goals. Shopify is different just because there's a wide range of what people might be looking for, but it was harder for merchants to understand what those things were. So we realized that maybe there was an opportunity to have merchants build a direct relationship, learn more about the customers in terms of asking a few questions, capturing a lead, whether email or phone number for SMS, and then recommending a product. And so, as you're mentioning, iOS 14.5 certainly was a challenge to merchants in terms of changing the traditional playbook of running paid ads to kind of scale a brand. And all of a sudden, there's a greater urgency to build a direct relationship where you have a more evergreen asset like an email or phone number. So you're no longer renting the audience per se. So this is kind of like right in the wheelhouse of, I think, what you're doing with BSR Digital. And so our quizzes are really helping brands accelerate their list growth, improve their conversion rate by simplifying the buying process, and then perhaps most importantly, capturing customer data, which we often call zero-party data.
Yeah. So that's great, man. I thank you for the intro. And I just want to ask you about zero-party data. For those that probably don't know what that means, could you please explain briefly what it is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so zero-party data, as defined by Salesforce, I believe, is just data that a customer proactively and willingly shares with you. Contrast that with first-party data, which is tracked, but tracked passively. So that might be stuff like what they bought, products they've purchased, how much they've spent. So maybe you're getting like a customer lifetime value. Maybe it's their interaction on the website, pages they've visited, actions of an abandoned cart or abandoned checkout, or engagement with email or SMS. The challenge is a lot of what you're going to infer from this is exactly that. It's an assumption. So you're assuming that because Brian bought this particular shampoo, that Brian has this type of hair, or he buys, or beard care or whatever it is. But you don't know that because Brian could be buying it as a gift, or could be buying it for his household, or using it himself. But you don't know this until you're actually getting the explicit feedback of customers saying, like, these are the challenges I'm having. This is the goal that I have. This is what I'm interested in hearing more about. And so once people are explicitly sharing that, then that all of a sudden unlocks so much more in terms of what you can market and what you can, how you can position your brand and product.
Yeah, and I agree, and I believe that it has always been important to get customer feedback and to get a better sense on what they want, who they are. But why do you feel that it's even more important now more than ever? Why do you feel that zero-party data is key and everyone should know about it and everyone should start collecting data like right away?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think a lot of it comes down to this customer experience gap. And I think this is one of the big opportunities in the future. And so basically, the customer experience gap is that customers want to receive personalized experiences. So learn more about the things that I'm interested in, as opposed to kind of being on a blasted email that's kind of like for everyone, but no one at the same time. The only challenge is marketers are having challenges delivering that personalized experience, whether it's based on the data or lack thereof, or it's the tooling that they have or don't have. But there's this gap that customers want to have more personalized experiences. And if they are able to experience it, per a study by Accenture, they will spend more money, they will buy more often, so increase lifetime value, and they will ultimately just become more valuable customers. Moreover, they're willing to share their data. So with the expectation that in exchange, they're going to get something of value in return. So I think that is really where this becomes super important, is this notion of personalization, that every customer wants to be treated as an individual. And the only way to really do that is based on the data. And so, of course, you could use support tickets or sales calls or ask them. But the beauty of a quiz is that it's structured data, so that it's very easy to extract and kind of draw insights from, and then also how it integrates with your email or SMS platforms, so that you can kind of build it once and then scale infinitely, so that everybody, Brian, again, we all get different emails or different content depending on what we're raising our hand and saying we want to learn about.
Yeah. We see across the board with clients we work with that, of course, as I said in the intro, we are losing data, not to speak, even about the changes that are coming, I think early 2024, it was 2023 initially, the session
Third-party
tracking.
cookies.
Yeah, the cookies. Yeah, the cookies, right? So it was postponed, I believe, to 2024. So we have one more year, let's say, but there are a lot of changes in the industry, and now we're never need to collect customer data. And I see across the board that many of the clients we work with, they assume they know many things about the clients, but they never ask, or they read the reviews, and that's fine. That's a starting point, but they don't actively collect important data and relevant data to make the next big move, right? Towards, providing them more value, making them happier. So how can any e-commerce brand listening use quiz funnels or quizzes? Can they use it for only one purpose, or can they use it for multiple purposes?
Yeah. So that's in terms to answer your question, from the customer perspective, it can be used in a variety of ways. So for example, a common use case is a recommendation quiz. I'm gonna, one brand that we work with is called Telixer. It's an adaptogen brand, which is kind of like mushrooms to help different ailments, whether it's anxiety or joint pain or sleeplessness. Depending on what a customer says, like, I need help with, they will recommend a different product. There are also brands that use kind of like personality persona-based quizzes, and this is what was popular a few years ago with BuzzFeed and New York Times. Like, what kind of prince would you be, or what's your animal, your spirit animal, or whatever silly thing it could be. It's one way to kind of like help people learn more about themselves, and I think that's where there's a lot of opportunity with a quiz as like a landing page for paid traffic. But yeah, ultimately, it's the most valuable quizzes, I think, are something that offer an exchange of value. So you're going to take the time and effort to share stuff about yourself. In exchange, I'll send you something to help you learn more about yourself, or help you along your journey, help you educate yourself. I think those are the most helpful use cases of a quiz. And so it could be, the recommendation quiz is ultimately about simplifying the buying process, making it easier to know what I need. So in many ways, it replicates what this in-person brick and mortar experience is, where you're working with a sales associate and they might ask you a few questions and then just recommend a product and say, hey, here's why this is good for you.
Yeah, and if anyone listening or watching is like, asking or wondering if this is for you, if this is for you, it's I have a few examples of great quiz funnels that we implemented with clients. So I believe that I can spend like under 1 minute telling the audience more about this, because that might benefit more than one, and of course using pre-hook as a vehicle to accomplishing that. One was it was you mentioned the industry before in the conversation. It was like beauty, but for men. It was like
Sure.
products for hair, for beard, for beard and hair.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, when you visit that website, there could be many, many options for different type of men, right? Different type of hair, beard. So it's not only the color, the texture. So the best landing page was the quiz. They had the
Mm.
quiz and had like the typical listing, but the quiz was the best, because they say, hey, are you, what color is, I mean, your hair, your beard, is it for beard or for hair? And then it was, generating these kind of questions. And then it ended up showing you only the options that were for you specifically. And that helped you a lot. The other one was for a flower shop that went online, because they originally sold to wholesale or B2B, and now they wanted to target people that didn't have the money to hire someone to do the flower arrangements for their weddings or different events, or even for home. So what we implemented with them was, hey, is it for for home or for an event? If it's an event, what kind of event? Wedding, baby shower, whatever. If it's a wedding, it's outside, inside, how many square foot or whatever, So do you like pink, orange, or yellow for flowers? I don't know. And then you propose them with the right solution, instead of them browsing like flower by flower, like going to the supermarket is
Mhm.
like exhausting, because people don't know how to put those things together, and that solves them the problem. And I can keep going, but I have one with a mushroom. So those kind of examples make sense, and what have in common is that people are likely to waste their time browsing separately the products. Do you have any other example that is not about that could work for an e-commerce?
Yeah. Oh, so another use case is a fit finder quiz. So often, I mean, that's where a lot of brands would find challenges, whether it's apparel like shirts, pants, clothes, or one of the famous use cases is a brand called Third Love, which is women's lingerie. The company was founded, I think, in maybe 2015, by a CEO named Heidi Zach. The challenge was that going to find a bra that fits was a challenge. To actually go to the store, it was a hassle. There was like not something that necessarily they wanted to do. One way to do this at scale was a virtual fitting room. So this would be asking some questions and then recommending a size. The interesting thing about this is over the course of millions of data points, they realized that one of the main challenges was that there was not enough half sizes. So that was basically their innovation based on the data gathered in a quiz. Is how do you like kind of identify new product opportunities? So you can use a quiz to do product research, and then also simplify the buying process again with quizzes, or with the Fit Finder. So that is helpful because it could reduce returns. It can help find the right product, and then it just kind of like makes it easier to shop online as opposed to having to go into the store. Similarly is Foundation Finder, basically for women's makeup. How do you find the right tone for a foundation? And so that's just kind of like an iteration of a recommendation, but also the fit, like finding the right fit, so to speak, in terms of like what your skin tone is. Again, because it's harder to go to understand shopping online, the same kind of like information or nuances that you would get if you were shopping in person.
I know the answer to this question I'm going to ask you might be, that it depends on many things, because I know, to
Sure.
be fair, the question will go there. But although it depends, have you identified like a sweet spot for the number of questions or steps? Because people might say, okay, I have this tool, it's awesome, but I don't know what questions to ask or how long it should be. When is it too much or not?
Yeah.
What do you have to say there?
Yeah. I think the takeaway kind of like, and this is overall with marketing and online user experience, is just as short as possible while still being valuable to you as a merchant. And so Typeform actually has some great data on this. The completion rate of their forms, so they're not quizzes per se, but their forms. And as you can imagine, the completion rate drops with every additional question. So you're going to be losing people and therefore not getting their lead if they drop off. So you want to do as much as possible to get people to the finish line, capture their email, and then recommend the product. So for brands that might be, as few as 3 questions, 4 questions, 5 questions, it might be like, hey, what's your name? Because you might not get it unless they order from you. So it always does help if you can get a first name. And then it might revolve around, what are your challenges? What are your goals? What are your interests or preferences? And then what's your email address so we can send you more information and specific to your needs. So yeah, it does depend, but my universal recommendation is to just like understand what kind of data you're going to be using. And this is in terms of like to segment your audience, or to know how you're going to recommend the right products, and then just ask those questions and just kind of get them through the quiz as quickly as possible.
And what are some of the ways to personalize the quiz, so it stands out and it adds value without falling into the trap of, too many paths to results and going crazy in the middle, right? So how do you go about that?
Yeah, I think in the quiz itself, you're going to recommend a product. So that can be personalizing, and you can use a feature called recall, which is reiterating the previous quiz responses. So it could be, if it's, let's say it's a skincare brand, like if we're asking what type of skin you have, and what problems you're facing, and hey Brian, because you have dry skin and you're dealing with redness, we recommend this product. So that's really where you can stand out as a marketer, is because you're reiterating the problem, and then you're recommending the solution specifically around that problem. So that's one way to personalize it. Another is, of course, if we're getting more tactical in the emails and SMS, you can dynamically insert the product recommendation. So, hey Brian, this is the product that we recommend for you, and this is kind of like in the post quiz flow in Klaviyo, for example. Here's a product we recommend. And then you can kind of even go even further in your automations in Klaviyo. You know, they call it a conditional split, but if Brian has dry skin, let's send him more information on how to like replenish his dry skin. If Brian has oily skin, let's send information about that. So that's kind of like personalization, but not, you know, individually to you. It is because it's personalized towards your problems, but it's very simple to set up if you're creating different splits within your automations or flows.
Awesome. So this was really, really interesting. And I think that I have a few takeaways and I would love you to add yours after mine so everyone gets it, you know. So you guys, I mean, listening or watching again, we are going through some, you know, changes in the marketing industry, in the space. Again, external, internal factors, technical factors, economical factors, many, many factors involved and many, many changes going on as we speak. So what's important is to deliver a great customer experience always, you know, deliver a great product, being clear. And this is what this all is about, you know, is delivering, is trying to help people to get faster to what they are looking for, guiding them towards their end goal, which is to buy or get something, whether it's a lead magnet, whether it's a product or a service or whatever you're offering, right? So get information from your customers, one for you and two for them, right? Both of them equally important to analyze and learn more how to serve them best, who they are, and yada yada. And then on the other hand, to create a better experience. And I think that those are like my two main takeaways. Do you have any other to add?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just in many cases, marketers would say an email is the most important thing you can have. The asterisk or the thing that I would add to that is capture as much data along with that email address. So like if you're capturing, say, 2 or 3% of the people who land on your site and capturing their email address, that's awesome. But can you add more context to it? Even if it's as simple as like, you know, what's your gender, or, you know, like what are you shopping for yourself or a gift? But if you can add a little bit more context, then that can do wonders in terms of how you're going to segment. And then segmentation is ultimately what leads to personalization.
Yeah, that's another one. You said it yourself, personalization, you know, create a
Yeah.
personalized experience for people. That's a good one too. So, well, typically when we have, you know, people on the show, we like to ask them about their favorite books, or if they follow any industry influencer, or I don't know, any recommendation for anyone listening, or someone that was a mentor, you know, throughout your career that you want to give them a shout out. It could be anything.
Yeah. You know, Seth Godin is something that I do like. Probably the book that stands out is This Is Marketing. He released it maybe a few years ago. And I think one of the quotes or the concepts that stands out is basically that marketing is about is a selfless act, and you are helping others achieve their best version of themselves. And so I think that like that fits in with a quiz a lot, because once you learn about your customers, like where they currently are and where they want to go, like your job as a marketer is to bridge that gap, to help them understand you're here, but with our brand, with our product, with our education, we can help you get here. And so that's I think a really valuable concept to keep in mind as a marketer, is that you're always trying to help more people, and the more people that you can help, actually it becomes a self-serving prophecy in terms of, you know, you're driving your own success with that.
Awesome. For you guys listening or watching, please remember that you will find the show notes at fitgrowthmachine.com. If you are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other, head on over to fitgrowthmachine.com and find the episode, and you will find all the show notes there. And if you are already on that page, scroll down and you will find them. You will see the resources mentioned and the highlights of this conversation. Again, you were amazing. Thanks a lot for all the knowledge and insights you shared. I really, really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, likewise, Brian, this is great. Thank you so much.
Also, my pleasure. So to wrap up, please tell the audience where they can go to learn more about you and Prehook.
Yeah, sure. So our website is prehook.com. one resource that I think is hopefully helpful is a list of 125 of the best e-commerce brands and quizzes that we have. No opt-in required, so you can kind of scroll through based on your niche or your industry or the type of quiz. And then definitely please feel free to reach out. Again, that's GEN@prehook.com. If you have any questions, want to brainstorm how to use a quiz, or if you want to build out a quiz, I'm happy to help with that as well.
Awesome. Thanks again. Again, you've been great.
Yeah. Take care.